Sue?
Mike!
Sue?
Mike, where are you?
Ah! The horror!
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
My name is Sue Slachter,
and I'm Michael O'Rourke.
and this is...
3, 2, 1. Ah! The horror!
of Halloween, the original 1978 film.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
On Halloween night in 1963, young Michael Myers just up and murders his sister for seemingly no reason at all. He is institutionalized and put under the care of Dr. Sam Loomis. Over 15 years, Loomis decides that Michael Myers is the incarnation of evil, even though Michael never speaks. Michael escapes the institution the night before Halloween so that he can go back to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, and have some slash-tastic fun murdering a whole bunch of people. So this film, I feel like, stands out in one way because of its amazing soundtrack. It has this really dark, alluring melody that brings you in, and the beginning of the film is so simplistic. You hear the music, dun 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 dun, and you just and you see a jack-o'-lantern. That's it. That's the intro, you know, and the simplicity of it is delightful, and I feel like it sets up this really great, you know, dark energy to it. The 1974 film Black Christmas is considered to be the first in the slasher genre. However, Halloween is really what popularized this genre and then brought about Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. So while this wasn't the first slasher movie out there, it seems like this is the one that really, you know, cracked the egg open and kind of got everybody really excited about it. Made it become such a phenomenon.
This movie refined what the genre could be. Because Black Christmas, it's more of a cult movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was after that. And then Halloween was the first movie where, hey, this could be like a real mainstream movie made by a studio.
I think that something else that really, you know, sets the mood and kind of makes this film stand above others before it is that there are a lot of atmospheric shots where you see Laurie and then maybe you see Michael Myers' shoulder in the camera view, making it spookier that there's just this dude watching her. And so much of the movie is set up around this idea of this silent killer standing in the shadows, watching people, waiting, analyzing, cat-like, you know, in his patience for when it is that he's going to strike.
He's a predator, and he's in this environment where everybody is potential prey for him. The movie starts out with his point of view. For the first, almost 5 minutes, all you hear is his breathing. You see things from his point of view. That beginning setup gets you into the predator mindset. The way the shots are set up with the long takes where he's just following people and just seeing what they're doing really gets that point across, I believe.
Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie, come on. You know, I mean, she is the original Scream Queen. She absolutely makes this film. I really love how her character is portrayed as, you know, such an innocent girl next door type of thing. You know, she's not stupid. She's not ditzy. She is able to use her intelligence and use her cunning in ways like working with the kids that she's babysitting, you know, like getting them to follow her instructions. And you can tell that they really enjoy spending time with her, you know? And then once Michael actually becomes a threat to her and becomes a threat to the children, she really springs into action to protect them and to try to do what she can to get them out of the house and away from him, even if she might potentially still be in danger.
Yeah.
So they take some time at the beginning to develop her character. You know, yes, you know, she's intelligent. She might be considered a bookworm. But at the same time, she still smokes a joint with her friends in the car. You know, like that is absolutely still happening. Linda, portrayed by PJ Souls, oh, she's the ditz. And I have to say, I really enjoy her performance as well because pretty much everything that she says is littered with some very believable totallys.
I'll be totally wiped out. You totally never show. Totally.
All Linda cares about is cheerleading and having sex.
So I always forget my chemistry book and my math book and my English book and my, my French book. And, well, who needs books anyway? I don't need books. I always forget all of my books. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you have your books or not.
So there's an interesting part of the movie where Laurie is in the classroom and this teacher keeps discussing the subject and just keeps saying fate again and again and again.
Yes.
And it's when Michael is out across the street from the school looking in the window staring at Laurie. It's just interesting that the filmmakers put that in a thematic point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Costain wrote that fate was somehow related only to religion, whereas Samuels felt that, well, fate was like a natural element, like earth, air, fire, and water.
Yeah, I also noticed that and thought it was interesting. I do feel like I wish that they had done more with it to not necessarily give us the answer as to what they were trying to say with it, but my biggest problem with this film is that I feel like there's really no specific reason why Michael kills. We don't get any explanation as to why he kills his sister. We don't get any explanation as to why he goes after Laurie and her friends. I mean, some possible ideas I had included she goes up to the Myers house with the key because her dad is selling the house. You know, he's a real estate agent. And so he asks her to put the key under the doormat. And then Michael sees her through the door of the house. Does that pique his interest?
Yes. The way I see it is it's really as simple as that he has this compulsion to kill. And that's really all there is to it. I don't think the filmmakers really wanted to explore past that. Basically, he just goes after the first person he sees who goes up to the house, which is Laurie, because after that, he drives by and sees Laurie with Annie and Linda. In his mind, he sees the three of them as his next three victims. And I think it's really just as simple as that. Like, there's really nothing else to it.
I'm down with simplicity. And honestly, with this movie, that's the name of the game. It has a really simple plot. If we go with this explanation of why he goes after Laurie, he sees her, she comes up to the house. He makes that connection. Now he's interested in her. That's fine.
I also personally think Dr. Loomis is a terrible doctor. He comes out and he says, Michael isn't a man, he's just evil. It's like, what?
Okay.
What is it?
Sure.
This isn't a man.
Great diagnosis, doctor. Like, that, there's no such thing. Like, come on, really. I think he's just kind of this crazy doctor. And out of all the characters in the movie, I wish they had actually explored him more. Because the teenagers in the movie, they're just like normal teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real defining qualities about them compared to other teenagers. And I think that was very deliberate on the filmmakers' part. They really just wanted to show, like, this could be anybody. Like, Mike Myers could go to your house and just kill you. But as a result, you also get a lot of kind of middle-of-the-road characters. And so I think Dr. Loomis really stands out because he is so odd and different. And I really did want to find out more about him. And the movie doesn't really offer you much more. I almost want to see an alternate cut of this movie where it's just Dr. Loomis wandering around the sidewalks, wandering around the streets, just looking for Mike Myers. Because that's basically what he does throughout this entire movie.
He's kind of a creeper himself, though, as long as we're on that topic. He, you know, describing him, it's like, this dude's kind of creepy, too. I wonder what his backstory is.
Hey. Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
At the very beginning of the film, when young Michael Myers is unmasked and you see, oh, it's this little boy, you know, that's terrifying that this kid just committed this murder. When his dad takes the mask off of Michael, you see the reaction that his parents have, and they seem sort of surprised. They're not really looking that upset, though, that their kid is holding this giant bloody knife and has obviously just committed murder. It always struck me as strange.
I think my nitpick with that scene is that they actually show his face. And I think that's a huge mistake. If you're going to make him mysterious and you're not quite sure what his motivation is, you got to go all the way and make him completely mysterious. It's a minor nitpick, but that always struck me as strange. That you would see his face as a kid, and then throughout the rest of the movie, you would see him with a mask on.
Way later in the film, towards the end, Michael, as an adult, is unmasked again for a brief moment. And when you see his face, there was some makeup that was done, like over one eye, maybe to kind of look like he had, you know, perhaps a physical deformity, which wasn't present when he was a child.
Yeah, he doesn't have that as a kid.
It makes it seem like there's a motivation behind him wanting to have the mask on, like that he wants to cover himself. But Again, there's no story about it.
Yeah, what's the reason? I don't know.
Yeah, there's no reason, there's no backstory. When Michael takes his older sister, Judith Meyer's gravestone, the action of doing that is kind of a chilling thing. It's showing a certain amount of disrespect to, somebody that he already killed a long time ago, but perhaps also maybe a certain obsession with wanting to possess what might be the only part of her that can still be owned, that can still be something physical for him to hold on to. I am not going to pretend like I completely understand why he ends up putting it over the dead form of Annie. It's cinematically cool. It also kind of seems like a lot of work to dig up a tombstone.
They're kind of heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know for personal experience, but I assume that.
Annie and Linda, they are so incredibly casual about having sex in somebody's house when they're supposed to be babysitting their kid.
Yeah, why not?
Ew. Ew.
All right, come on, where's my beer?
My preference for horror movies is such that I like it when my slasher serial killer has witty one-liners. I really enjoy that. That's why I like Chucky. That's why I like Freddy. I think it's less exciting that Michael never says anything. I do understand that they're setting a tone, that it's scarier. I guess I just like the kind of, cheesy, ridiculous comedy that comes with those one-liners, and that sassy attitude. So Michael is not my favorite slasher.
I like it when the main villain has an actual character to them or something interesting about them. And the silent slashers just don't. They're just a reason to show teenagers get murdered, basically.
Yeah.
Halloween does it very well. And I don't think there's really any other movie that's really been able to replicate that as well as Halloween. Like, definitely including all its sequels, Friday the 13th, like all of those. Like, I don't think any of those are as good as this movie. And I think this movie, in a way, kind of perfected that genre. And it's had a million ripoffs since then, but just none of them have ever been able to do it as well.
There's so much appeal to this movie when Halloween comes around, as it's like, ooh, yeah, I want to watch the movie where it actually takes place on Halloween and there's murders on Halloween. That's all really exciting. I don't think that it is actually the best horror film. I think that the way that it has defined the slasher genre is really fantastic, but overarchingly, to me, I feel like there's a lot more that could have been done with the story, with the characters, to tell us why. That's predominantly what I'm looking for. Why is this happening?
We need answers, damn it.
One thing in the film that I think is really funny that I enjoy is when Laurie actually discovers her dead friends. They seem to just magically start popping out of nowhere. A door swings open and all of a sudden Linda's dead body is there and her eyes are crossed and she looks totally ridiculous.
Totally.
I don't know if Michael Myers was watching and waiting and somehow activated this Rube Goldberg-esque machine to suddenly make these doors open and have these dead teenagers be revealed in a certain kooky specific order, but it was really convenient and the expressions were so funny to me. Who do you think would like this movie?
I think pretty much anybody who's interested in watching the best crafted horror movies made. Like, I definitely wouldn't say this is a perfect movie, but it's definitely a game changer in the history of horror movies. This is the movie that changed everything and led into the 80s and affected horror movies for the next 1 to 2 decades.
I have that love for it for that reason, even though it won't be my favorite horror movie or my favorite slasher villain.
Exactly.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Bye.